Welcome to the podcast, Annika. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I feel so grateful to be talking with you and sharing some wisdom about herbs and healing.
Yay. So, could you just tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and what you currently do?
So my name's Annika Faith. I currently live in the Kootenays, Nelson specifically, just a little hippie town. Um, and currently I'm just working away, flowing with the seasons, flowing with the cycles of my own life. um, I'm a community herbalist, wild woman herbalist, intuitive herbalist, just really communing with plants and listening to their wisdom and building my own connection with them, and really striving to share that wisdom and knowledge with other people. And I have a part-time job right now, but within that, I'm also starting up my own personal herbal business and my own offerings, and I'm just really stoked to see how it grows and where it reaches.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see just all that you create and just with your knowledge that, with studying herbs at PRC and whatnot. It's just going to be so exciting.
I know, I'm pretty stoked. It's been in the works for quite some time, and I've just been kind of navigating that and doing some logo design and just figuring out some formulations, but I feel like we're getting pretty close where I'm starting to put together my offerings, and it'll be launched soon, very soon, with a few of other things that I'd love to incorporate later on.
Mm, yeah, so exciting. So, could you just share about your health journey and how you just got interested in herbs and nutrition?
Yeah, of course. I feel like this one just goes so far back into my own life.
Mm,
When I was born, I was born with a few health issues from such a just from birth, and so I feel like it's kind of been a big part of my whole life, really. So it started out when I was really, really young, and then things started to kind of worsen around the age of 13, 14, and that really made me kind of take healing and health quite seriously. And I think that's where my passion around holistic healing and nutrition really began, was when I was 13, 14, and needing to navigate my own just imbalances and things. And I've always suffered really, really badly with eczema, and it's had its own journey with me, um, on its own. And but it's all been kind of incorporated with my healing, and that's really led me to having a passion for all of this and just learning more about my own body and its own healing journey. And so it's as painful as it's been, and confusing, it's still been confusing to some degree, but it's really helped me come into who I am now. And so I do have so much gratitude for having to navigate those things from such a young age, even though it was challenging at the time. It's really led me to where I am now, and to just keep on learning and expanding and growing. And I think where the holistic healing and herbs play in, I feel like they started to come in quite at a young age too, but it wasn't until the last few years that I really started to dive into the power that herbs hold. Um, there's been a few instances in my life where I've been really affected by the modern medicine system, and it's really taken a toll on my body. And so I think that in turn really pushed me towards looking looking to herbs and to the wisdom of the earth for assistance and for help, because there were a lot of times where I was given a lot of things that did so much damage to my system, and I just felt in my own body that they were not really answers, but they were more of a band-aid, and actually caused deeper issues in the long run. And so as I've started my journey with herbs and learning about herbs, I've really gotten to understand that they work on such a deep level, and that they themselves are full of such incredible constituents. And they're such complex beings, and I believe that we as humans are complex beings too. And they kind of are a match made in heaven. So it's like complex to complex, where you take herbs and they really work well within the body. And they do sometimes take a little bit of a longer time, but they are working on such a deep level, um, and getting to the root of some issues as well. And so, yeah, I've just been working with them kind of ever since. So, yeah.
I love how you said that, like it's like complex to complex, because they're so potent, and they just help with so much. And I feel like not everyone knows that now. And it's like also like, I mean, we talked about this when we were in school, like how it's like the OG like medicine, like it's always been there like forever, you know. But not until I guess like recently when like pharmaceuticals took over. And I mean, there's a
Mhm.
time and a place for that, but like yeah, just like herbs have like just always been there for
Yeah.
us.
And I think like, yeah, when we went to school, that's something that I really held close in my heart as well, was just like understanding that herbs have been around for so long. And a lot of the pharmaceuticals are actually derived
Yes.
from plants themselves. And so to me, that was, even more mind boggling, because it's like, well, then why aren't we using the herb as a whole? Because they are working so well with our body. But when something is broken down and just one constituent is isolated, it's a little bit confusing for the body at times, and the body doesn't really know what to do because the body is so complex. So it needs that match of complex to complex to really make sense in a holistic way.
For sure. So with that, what herbs have like helped to support you like throughout your healing journey?
Oh man, I feel like ever since we went to school, I feel like there's been so many herbs that have been a part of my path and have really helped me in so many ways, from my physical body to my emotional and spiritual and energetic body as well. Um, and that's something I love about herbs too, is there's just so many herbs, like so many herbs that I still don't even know and don't have a relationship with, that really help on so many levels and in so many ways, which is just so beautiful. That Mother Earth provides us with such, potent and bountiful medicines for us to reach for, whether it's, needing to help with like our leaky gut, or whether to assist us with some psychological issues and things like that too. It's just like so awesome. um but some herbs, I feel, oh man, there's just been so many, truly, and it's hard to choose. But I think some standouts for me, I mean, if I'm talking about in this moment, I feel like rose is such a potent one for me, such a beautiful heart medicine. And I really do work intuitively with herbs. And it's just one that really resonates with me. And it's a medicine that I really do need quite often. Holy basil, Ocimum sanctum, is another one. Such a beautiful herb, one of my favorites since day one, really. Um, like in our Vedic tradition, it's known as like the queen of herbs. It's like a beautiful adaptogen, and just really wonderful for the higher chakras as well. And I just love it. I feel like it just has so many properties, and just beautiful for the immune system and for the nervous system. And I feel like it does so much. So it's definitely one of my favorites, and it also tastes so beautiful. um and like a few others, I don't know. I feel skullcap is one of my favorites. Lemon balm, so beautiful for calming the mind and the nervous system. I find when my nervous system is out of whack, it is very much associated with my mind and just how fast my mind can run.
Yeah.
Um, and so lemon balm is always a favorite as well. And in the past, I've just done so many things to really allow herbs to shine their own power. I like remember back when living in Victoria and going to Pacific Rim, when I got my wisdom teeth removed, I was like one of those challenges for me of like, hey, like here I am in this school learning all about herbs and their medicine, and now here I'm going to go and get my wisdom teeth removed. I really want to focus on herbs and see if they can be of assistance for me, in that process. And I kind of like went into that process so like prepared, and with herbs and with my food, of just like, I'm going to rely solely on herbs,
Yeah.
and I'm going to see what they can do for me, and not, I don't want to take ibuprofen. I don't want to take anything that, you know, is just going to like not really work on a holistic level. I really wanted to allow the herbs to shine. And so I did. And it was definitely like a little bit painful for sure. Like, I was not reaching for ibuprofen when my mouth was in so much pain, but I was reaching for, willow bark and turmeric to help with the inflammation and the pain. And it was just like, it wasn't that quick fix like an ibuprofen is, but it was working on such a deep level. And like, I came out of that experience feeling so good and so energized. And I look back on that decision, and I'm so grateful that I chose to do that, because it really like showed me that that herbs were really, supporting me through that. And they really did a wonderful job. And I also was taking some homeopathics,
Mm.
before the surgery as well. And um, yeah, so they've just been really, I've been really influenced by them in so many different ways, and by different times that I've been sick as well. So yeah, like that wisdom removal, they were just such a rock star. And then I got COVID back in August as well, and I really relied on herbs at the time too. Yarrow was a big one. I was taking it, and it was so supportive. And a little bit of that time, I didn't even realize I had COVID, but I was just dousing the herbs and really listening to what I needed. And yarrow was a big one. And yeah, I feel like yarrow's this like beautiful heal all herb, and really helping with bringing down, your fever, and just in just so many ways. There's just such an array of uses and benefits from these herbs, which is just so magical. So yeah, I have lots of favorites, lots of favorites for sure.
So I know you just listed off so many there, and they're great. But what are your top 3 current favorites and why?
Oh yeah, gonna go back, say rose and holy basil for sure, and I'll probably add lemon balm to that answer as well. Um, I think rose, like I said, rose is just such a beautiful heart medicine. I feel it's so deep, like it's definitely one that I reach for energetically, when I'm feeling like just the achiness of, maybe the world, like just different emotions. If I'm like moving through some deep grief or sadness, rose is always there to like be supporting me in my heart. And just also when I'm in situations where I have a hard time opening my heart, I feel like rose helps me do that as well. It really helps me just like crack open and be vulnerable with the people in my life and in certain situations. And it's just been so supportive in that way, and it's been a really important medicine in my life recently. um, and then with holy basil as well, it's an adaptogen, so it really helps and like supports the body with just adapting to different stressors and environmental stressors, inner body stressors, any kind of stressor really. And it's just like hands down one of my favorites. I feel like it's hard to really encapsulate why I love it so much. I just know that I resonate with it, and it has just so many properties. It does so much, from the adaptogenic qualities to just like the immune system and supporting the immune system and things like that. And then also on an energetic level, it really, I feel like, opens up my crown chakra and really supports me with, my spirituality and things like that. And so it's overall one of my favorites for sure. It always has been. And then, yeah, lemon balm as well. I think it's such a good one for the times that, the world is in right now as well. It is, it's heavy times out there. It's like really energetically intense. There's a lot of emotions that we're all moving through. And I feel like lemon balm is one of those beautiful nervines that just helps like soothe the nervous system, and not only sort of soothe the nervous system, but also soothe the mind as well. When we're in like that fight or flight mode where our mind is just racing. And what I love about lemon balm is that it helps just like calm the mind, calm the heart, calm the nervous system, and just kind of helps you bring yourself back to a place of peace. And so it's, yeah, definitely been one of my favorites.
I love that. Yeah, holy basil is definitely like on my list too, just for like you said, like stress, and then also like inflammation, and just
Mhm.
really, yeah, just so healing. Just yeah, especially just for stress, anxiety, like whenever you're just feeling like you're in that fight or flight, and you're just like, just take some holy basil, sip it. Especially like I think just sipping tea is just so important instead of just taking it in capsule form. Like yes, you can do that, but once you like sip it, you're enjoying it, and you're just, you're really tasting the herb itself. And I feel like with herbs, kind of going on a tangent now, but like with herbs, like a lot of people just want to go and like go to the health food store and just take it in a capsule form or whatever, or like a tincture. I mean, yes, in tincture you can still taste it, but like there's just something I think is so special in doing it in just like a tea form where you steep it for like 10 to 15 minutes like covered to keep those like volatile like oils in, and then you're just having like that experience like in that cup, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh man, I could not agree more, for sure. I think there's something really special about coming back to a little bit of a ritual
Yeah.
when it comes to your healing and when it comes to involving plants in your day-to-day life. And I think making, a cup of tea is just such a perfect example of that. Of just like you are taking time out of your day to like brew a cup of tea, pick your herbs, what herbs do you need, and then slowly sip it. And I think that's hard for modern day society because we are on such a like go go go. And so that's another thing about bringing herbs into your life is that I've learned that they really help me like slow down and create more of a ritual in my life. And brewing a cup of tea is such a perfect example. It's like one of my favorite ways to take herbs as well, because you are really getting to like spend time with that plant. Like, you're not really sitting beside the plant itself in the garden, but it is like kind of the next best thing of just like really feeling into your body and feeling into where that herb is landing. And I think that's really, really powerful too with herbs, is that they're going to work differently for every single person. And some herbs that work really well for me are not going to be maybe the herbs that work well for someone else. And it's just you get to develop this beautiful relationship with herbs and with which ones are working for you in this moment and which ones aren't. And there's no right or wrong. It's just about which herbs are here to assist you, and you get to feel that in your body when you're drinking, say, a cup of tea. You get to really feel where that herb is going and where it's needed, and if it is in resonance with you. And ultimately, I really do believe that the body knows, and you will be called to a certain herb, you know, for whatever reason. You might not even know in that moment, but then later on, you'll be reading about that herb. You're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. And that's, the humble language of herbs. They enter your life so graciously, and they'll just, hint at you, and you'll feel, oh, maybe I need to take that herb, or for some reason that herb is calling my name. But like ultimately there is a reason, and then you find out later, and it's just like a match made in heaven. It's really beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. So I know you already touched on this a little bit before, but what are like adaptogenic herbs? Like, could you just like elaborate on that like a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So, adaptogenic herbs, there's a lot. I mean, mushrooms are a big part of that category, and I know they're not classified as a herb, but they are adaptogens, and they're these beautiful, just species, little like powerhouses. And all mushrooms, all medicinal mushrooms, are adaptogens, and they're very popular right now. And but there's also herbs that are adaptogens as well. Ashwagandha, holy basil, um, but also a few others. But like I think Siberian ginseng is one. So there's just like such an array that we can choose from, and there's like different adaptogens too. So it's like whatever your body is in need of, I think you take the herb that is like follows in suit of that, of like I for example, holy basil is really good for just like calming the nervous system. So if your nervous system is out of whack and you're being affected by environmental stresses or things like that, that herb will help just adapt the body. So that's kind of what happens, is that adaptogens, is like as a whole, they help the body adapt to whatever kind of stress that you're currently moving through, whether it's environmental stress, chemical stressors, just yeah, so many different areas of stress that we can you know experience. And so the beauty with adaptogens is that they can come in and support that process and help the body adapt to that situation. And I think it's important not to use adaptogens as a crutch, and
Mm.
to recognize and to really like revere plants, um, and see them for what they are, and understand that they're not, we can't overuse them and we can't abuse them, but we need to work in harmony with them.
Mm.
And that adaptogens, like they are here to help us. And so if we can work like with adaptogens, knowing that, okay, hey, like there's this area of my life that there is a lot of stress, how can I relieve that stress, with also the help of that herb. So it's not about using that herb to cover up, the stress entirely and run away from the stress that's being caused, but to know that if you are in a stressful situation, no matter like in what kind of stress, that they will be there to support you and help your body in a very holistic way. So yeah.
Yeah, I love how you said that. And since you did like mention mushrooms, that is my next question. So like what are like the benefits of, like mushrooms that are adaptogenic? So like reishi, chaga, lion's mane. I mean, there's so many, but like can you like touch on those ones?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I know it's so funny too because they are so interconnected, but I feel like a lot of them do have their own unique little set of magic, that they provide for the body. With reishi, like we said, they are all adaptogens, so they are going to help the body adapt to that, different types of stress. Um, but with reishi, I find the reishi really soothing to the nervous system. Reishi is very calming and relaxing, and so it's going to help the body adapt in that way. And with chaga is just this beautiful like immunomodulator, just so supportive of the immune system. And then you can kind of see it when you see chaga. It's like this robust, mushroom. It's just so beautiful, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what it does for the body. It helps the body stay robust, in times of stress. And if your immune system is a little bit depleted and weak and is under its own stress as its own system, chaga can come in and help really like support it and build it up. And lion's mane is another such a fan favorite, I feel, for the mind. I feel like lion's mane is just so beautiful too. It has like, I can't think of the word at the moment, but it's so beautiful because it helps it helps with building nerve growth in the brain. So it like lion's mane is so supportive for the brain health because it's like it actually helps the brain like grow completely new neural pathways, which I think is just so incredible. That these mushrooms have capabilities like that, and like lion's mane being one of them with the brain and with the brain health. So, super good for cognitive function, super good for like memory retention, things like that. And what else? There's some others. There's chaga, reishi, lion's mane. Another favorite of mine is turkey tail.
Yes.
Turkey tail for the gut, just like gut microbiome, so supportive, so healing. Helping that system adapt to its stressors. Turkey tail also really incredible for, I think, just like cell regeneration and even just like cancerous cells, like killing cancerous cells and
Oh, wow.
attacking tumors. And I don't know the science behind it. Like I said, there's just so much to know, and the information that's out there never ends. And I feel like for me, I'm just on this continuous path of like learning and understanding and also seeing how those herbs and those mushrooms help me in my journey in my body. So yeah, those are just like a few of the main ones and ones that I use on a daily basis as well.
Yeah, okay. I didn't remember that the lion's mane can like help with like the neural pathways. Like I got to read up on it again because I really don't remember that. But that's so just like so cool. Like I know it's just so amazing for brain health and just like memory and like
Mm.
cognitive function. But
Well, they
yeah.
have like it has lion's mane has two key constituents, and they're light enough, like I guess, and I can't explain exactly what that means, but they're light enough to like cross the blood-brain barrier,
Okay.
and then they can help the brain produce more of the protein, like nerve growth factor.
It's
So it's
amazing.
like, yeah, so it just like literally regenerates neurons in our brain, which is just so cool. Like it's so cool. Like I know it's a really crucial one for, you know, um, dementia and Alzheimer's. It's
Sure.
like this is the thing, is that there's so much wisdom embedded in our Mother Earth, and when we start to open that, you just want to continue opening it and understanding and learning, and it's just such exciting things.
Yeah, well, like you said, like we're just always learning, like once, like, I mean, we did 4 months, like intensive, like going to school like 4 days a week and everything, but like you don't just stop learning, like once you're like, got my certificate, like,
Yeah, right.
you know,
No,
like you
that's
keep going.
exactly, and that's how I felt after graduating, like, with you, it was just like, it was really the start of something,
Sure.
and I definitely, like you said, it was a 4-month intensive, and it was
Mm,
intense. Like, we
yeah.
learned so much, and I, like, I asked myself, did I retain a lot of it? I'll have to say no, because it was just so, um
It was quick. Like it went by so
quick.
fast.
Totally. Oh my gosh. And like, I would love to, study, like, go back and study in that way again. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I just know that, like, I know I want to keep learning, and there's so many different places where we can learn. But I feel like it also left me with, like, this power to just know that I can go out and be in nature and really feel how herbs talk, and how they talk within my body, and just beside me if they're just growing. And I feel like that truly is where I've gotten the majority of my own wisdom from these plants, is just by genuinely spending time with them and listening to them and seeing how they feel in my body and what they're targeting and things like that. And of course, you can read up on all these things, and that's just as crucial and valuable. But it's like, I think there's an aspect of, like, you also need to take this wisdom and embody it, and really start to, like, understand how herbs speak and how they really work with you. And the only way you're going to know that is by experiencing it, and by, just, like, experimenting and seeing what this herbs taste like, and seeing what that herb tastes like, and how does it make you feel, where do you feel it in your body, like, all these things that you can listen to and hone in on, that is going to, like, show you, what that herb is helping you with. And so I feel like that is just a really important aspect of your own learning, and of developing a really beautiful relationship with plants and the plant underworld, is by spending time with them, and not really needing to, like, know a certain thing, or, oh, this herb does that and that herb does this. It's great information, but there's also so much information of just like spending time with the herbs themselves.
For sure. So this is one of my last questions. It's controversial, but could you talk about weeds and just how like there are medicine? Because most people would see like a dandelion in their yard and be like, "This is not medicine. I just want to chop you out." So can you
No, and
talk?
I just wrote about this. And I want to speak on it so much more, because it's like, it just, that question itself holds a special place in my heart, I feel, because ever since going to herb school, I've started to pay so much more attention to the herbs that grow around me, and
Yeah.
understanding that all these, like, weeds, quote unquote, are actually really powerful herbs that can be supporting us. And when I was younger, like, my I was just like, it was so normal for just, like, weeds, quote unquote, to be chopped down, and, like, I never really thought about it,
Mm,
and, like, I never sat with myself to think, hey, like, are those medicinal, and are these going to help us? But ever since I went to herb school, and I've been so, like, now involved in the plant underworld, I now think about that, and I look at all the herbs that and plants that I just walk by, and I wonder, what's their story? what do
mhm.
they what are they here to do? What's their, who are they? Seeing them as people, truly, because they're just like these beautiful beings. They don't talk in the ways humans talk, but they still do talk very, very loudly. And so I think it breaks my heart that there is just a lack of awareness in just, like, our modern day society, of, like, just, there's a disconnect. I feel like this kind of goes even further, of, like, there is a disconnect between humans and the earth. And I really believe it's a natural part of our being, is that we are so interconnected with the earth. We are cyclical beings. We move just as the seasons move, just as, the plants move. There's so many commonalities. And I just feel that, like, with weeds, like, they're not really weeds, they are medicine. I mean, of course you're going to have a few of the stubborn plants that grow like crazy, and you just, they're not super useful. You're going to have those, but for example, there's a lot of society that says dandelion is a weed, but dandelion is, like, such a crucial herb, and is so healing on so many levels. The leaves themselves on dandelion, and then also the root, like, so supportive in, healing the liver and getting rid of just like toxins in that area of our body. And and then the leaves as well, just so good. It's such a strong bitter. We don't have enough bitter in our diets. Like bitter is huge for just like supporting our digestion and things like that. And so I think they need to be a lot more revered than they are right now by a lot of people. And I just think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's more about just building an awareness and saying to people, being like, hey, like these are plants. There's medicine in these, We don't need to just completely like eradicate them. They have such a crucial role, and that's what they're going to still keep coming up because, a lot of people need liver support.
Yeah.
We don't eat super well as a society, and the liver takes a hit with a lot of those things. And so like dandelion pops up and is like, hey, like I'm here, and that's another beautiful way that plants communicate with us, is that I notice that whenever, when I'm going through something, the herb will make its presence known. The herb that I need through whatever I'm going through will make its presence known. And so I feel like with dandelion, it's kind of the same thing. It pops up in a lot of people's yards. And it's just saying, hey, like, and those people probably need liver support. I mean, I feel like who doesn't need liver support in the society that we live in right now? I think we all need a little bit of liver love. And so dandelion will be popping up, and it pops up also in springtime when we're just coming out of that sluggish winter. So it's like also helping with that detoxification process. And so it's a beautiful springtime herb, like just using in salads as well, just like the leaves, and really including that bitter quality is so important. But also, like, I think it's important to make sure where the herbs are growing, because you don't want to be taking from a place that's been like a polluted place, or places that could have contaminated soil. I think is a really important thing to be aware of. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's definitely an underrated herb, like needs to be.
All the weeds that are seen as weeds are actually really crucial herbs. Yeah, like dandelion, chickweed, cleavers, like all of these look like
Yes.
weeds, but they're so
Ah,
so good. And they all pop up around springtime when we need that detoxification, lymph moving, support. So
for sure. Yeah.
interesting
So,
to
oh, sorry.
okay, it's
Oh.
okay. I'm just
Well,
saying it's interesting to observe, that's all.
for sure.
Yeah.
So my last question, what is one thing that you do to live nourished?
I love this question. I was reflecting on this the last few days. I feel like it's a little bit of a tough one, but also it's quite simple. Quite simple. But for me, I think in this moment, and what I'm navigating right now and just where I'm at in my life, I think the way that I really incorporate that is just by really listening, and like by being honest with myself, which is really hard. It's a hard thing to do, but I've been finding that the more that I listen, the more I'm able to just like give my body what it needs. And sometimes it's going to look a little bit different than what I'm used to, but it's all about listening for me right now. Um, and not really seeing anything as good or bad or right or wrong, but understanding what serves a really crucial place in my life and what doesn't. One example that I think we all can relate with is just screen time, being on our phones. Like, I know for me it's always a fine line, it's a fine balance, and it plays a really crucial part, but then I'm also mindlessly scrolling on it some days, and I know in my body that I don't need to be doing that, and I could be doing things that are more supporting. And so I'm also gonna give myself the grace if I really need that in that time of just like to mindlessly scroll, but I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna be aware of like, hey, do I need to be doing this right now, or can I be doing something else? What does my body need right now? And so yeah, I find for me that's the core of how I kind of nourish myself, is just by listening and really really choosing from a place of like love and compassion, and a play and choosing from a place that's gonna like choosing what I know is gonna feel good for me. So it's like, and, you know, say I want a slice of cake, which is very rare. I probably don't ever really eat a slice of cake. That might be a bad example. But even like, you know, say, for example, like a Zevia pop, it's like, you know, do I really need that? Probably not. You know, is that the carbonation going to make my tummy feel great? Probably not, you know, but I'm going to ask myself that question, and I'm going to be aware of choosing that, and I'm going to, you know, choose whatever feels right. And if it's like I've had a really long day and I really like my mental body really wants that, then I'm going to like give my mental body that luxury, you know. But I think, yeah, it's just about being aware and listening, and yeah, just always striving to choose from like a place of like love, really. And so, yeah, that's really like the base of like where I try to live from. Just like having grace for myself in the moments that I might be choosing something that I know is not good for me, but just having grace and like knowing that I have the power to like choose in every moment, if that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
love that. I feel like that's so important, like especially just like listening to like your body's like symptoms and signs that it's giving you too. It's just something that's not really done nowadays. Like I mean, like 4 years ago, I like never listened to my body, and like now, like I know it so well. And I think just, yeah, just being more aware of like what you're
Yeah.
doing, asking those hard questions, and just stopping to pause. You know, so important.
Exactly. And, you know, that goes for nourishment, then also goes for decisions just in our everyday life, whether it's seeing a friend or going to an event, of just like raising that awareness and honoring your body, you know, of like, what do I need in this moment? What do I really, really need? There's nothing wrong with whatever answer comes up. And I think another, just something I want to kind of add on is and is just also a part of holistic healing, and healing the body like in a holistic way, I guess, is just knowing and being aware that we have more than one body. We have our physical body, we have our mental body, we have our emotional body, and then we have our spiritual body, and they are all so interconnected, and we need to be taking care of all of them. And, you know, it's quite, I feel, at least right now, I feel like it's challenging to have like harmony in all of them, but it's just about being aware that they all exist and that each one is just as valid as the other. And so, you know, it's not about just like looking at the body and just kind of picking apart in one thing and not seeing the interconnectedness, but actually realizing that all of these things work together. You know, they all work together, and it's important that we listen and just give ourselves what we need, you know. And sometimes we need to be giving more energy to our physical body, or sometimes we might need to be giving more energy to our emotional or mental body. But it's just, it's a balance, and it's a dance, and it's just, you learn as you go, you know.
That's so true. So where can everyone find you and connect with you?
Oh man, probably mostly on Instagram. um as we mentioned and talked about earlier, um I'll be starting up my herbal business and just my offerings, and I'm really starting to like courageously step into that. There's been a lot of nerves that I've been moving through, but herbs have been so supportive. You know, I've been like reaching for my rose, I've been reaching for my lemon balm for sure. Um, but yeah, on Instagram, so my herbal page is Veda Medicinals, and then I also have my personal page, which is Annika, Annika dot Faith, Faith. It's private, but I do share a lot of my things on there, and would love to open it up more eventually. But we'll just see as time goes.
For sure. And I'll link those below so people can just click on it, find you easily.
That would be so
Yeah,
appreciated.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Well, thanks
sure.
so much for talking, Kat.
Thanks
Man,
so much.
um,
Yeah,
I just love sharing all of this, and I just am so stoked that you and I can talk about this and just share that wisdom and share our own healing journeys with other people, because we're just learning, you know, just as much as other people are learning. And yeah, I'm just so happy that we get to do that, to share our journeys with other people, and just keep expanding, you know, the beauty of herbs.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoy just chatting with you, and I always do. I feel like we could talk for hours
I
and just
know,
keep
I
going.
know, I know. I feel so honored, and I'm just want to you to know that I'm so grateful. So yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for chatting.
Yeah.